P.ed1 Week 13 Socio-Emotional Development of Infants and Toddlers. Attachments. The baby displays instinctual attachment behaviors that are activated by cues or signals from the caregivers. John Bowley, the father of attachment theory, as a lasting psychological connectedness between human beings. Babies are born with number of behaviors such as crying and cooing. Mothers are associated with primary role. The key to a good start for a social development of the baby or the babies starts responsive interaction. They let us know if they want to interact. Lots of study that the breastfeed babies is more close to the mother. The attachment is consistent. Children good attachment relationship as infants can have better adjustments. Infant attach a lot of people developing emotional relationship. Family contributes more to the development of a child. Parents matter and children attach to the parents even when children are in a child care. A parent is their child's first teacher, provider, or to provide support and encouragement. Parents serve as a model to their children. Temperaments. Temperament is a child's emotional and behavioral style of responding to the world. Temperament traits activity, regularity, initial reaction, adaptability, intensity, mood, destructibility, persistence, and sensory threshold. The next one is the supporting social emotional development for infants and toddlers. Infants and toddlers develops their own rate. Social emotional development is dependent upon ongoing responsive relationship. Researchers Alexander Thomas and Stella compiled a list of traits related to temperament. These are the list, activity level, and the amount of movement and body activity. Temperament is a child's emotional and behavior style of responding to the world. A child displays her temperament style from birth. The ability to understand and relate to an infant's or toddler's needs and temperaments, or the quality of the relationship between the caregiver and young child. The infants and toddlers in your program interact has a strong effect on the early care and learning environment. Some infants and toddlers in your care may have conditions that affect their social emotional development. Social emotional development is important. This influences a child's self-confidence, empathy, the ability to develop and meaningful lasting friendships in partnerships, and in sense of importance and value to those around him or her. The other one is the strategy learning about emotions and emotional expressions. Infants and toddlers learn about emotion and expression through their actions to the others. Understand that the emotions expressed by infant and toddlers are true feeling, seeking response from the adults. Mirror emotional expressions. If infants and toddlers is crying, you can say, "I'm going to help you." Add words to the expression, help toddlers build a vocabulary emotion words. Strategy. Learning, play, and friendship skills. Infants and toddlers learn to interact others. Understanding and expressing emotion helps support and contribute to the development of social skills. Key aspects to the developing empathy, social social play also requires children to share ideas and express feeling while negotiating and reaching compromises. Talk about how infants and toddlers feels to encourage perspective talking. In your daily instructions with infants and toddlers, consider the following. A toddler claps her hands. Remember that infants and toddlers are watching your expressions and learning way to respond to a strong emotion. While reading books, to older infants and toddlers make facial expression that complements the character or the portion of the story. Yes, the cow is feeling very happy. P.ed1 Week 14. Preschoolers' Physical Development. The preschool years, age 3 to 5, are an exciting time for young children. When they were infants, they develop a trust to their caregivers. The preschool years are time of vast developmental growth, but they also may be in time marked by challenges and the risk factor affecting physical, cognitive, and psychosocial development trajectories. They will want to explore and ask the things around them even more. Their interactions with the family and those around them will shape their personality and their own ways of thinking and moving. Big ideas about the physical development of preschoolers. Number one is the significant changes in physical growth of preschoolers. Number two is the preschoolers can express themselves artistically. Number three, the preschooler's physical development is marked by gross and fine motor skill. Four, right amount of sleep and proper nutrition is very important, like taking nap every afternoon. The number five is caregivers and teachers maximizing and development of preschoolers. Number six, preschoolers with special needs in inclusive classroom can thrive will with the appropriate adaptations made in the classroom materials and activities. The gross and fine motor development. Gross motor development is involves the large muscles in the arms, legs, and the torso. Gross motor activities are important to the everyday physical activity like walking, running, throwing, lifting, and etc. Gross motor abilities also form the basis for fine motor skills and relate to the body awareness, reaction, balance, and strength. The fine motor development refer to a small movement in the hands, wrist, fingers, feet, toes, hips, and tongue. Generally, thought of as the movement and use of hands and upper extremities. Fine motor skills includes searching, grasping, and manipulating object with your hands. Fine motor skills also involve vision, specifically visual motor skills, often referred to hand-eye coordination. Visual motor skills are needed to coordinate hands, legs, and the rest of the body. Preschool artistic development. Preschools learn and develop through creative activities like drama, craft, music, and dance. Experiencing, discover, and experimenting are the most important parts of preschoolers' creative activities. Encourage preschoolers by letting them lead creative activities, giving them time and space, and praising them. There are stages of drawing. Number one is the random scribbling. Number two is controlled scribbling. Number three, lines and patterns. Number four, pictures of object or people. Number five, letter and word practice. Preschoolers' nutrition and sleep. The nutrition of preschoolers has far-reaching effect on his physical growth development, including how house of sleep and food that preschoolers take. Having too much or little both are have negative effects. The celebration of Nutrition Month every month of July is aimed to advocating for proper nutrition habit. Many of preschoolers get all their sleep at night and may give their afternoon naps. For preschoolers who still need to nap, set a regular time and have consistent nap time routine. Gross motor from 36 months to 48 months can hoop 1 to 3 steps on prepared food. There are some examples of um, preschoolers' nutrition and sleep and their gross motor. Fine motor skills, consistently turn page of pictures, looking at pictures with interest, purposely copies diagonal lines, purposely bisects across. The other one is the 49th months to 60 months, copies simple pattern of different bases shapes, colors with strokes staying with the lines. Self-help skills 36 to 48 months. Pours from pitcher without spillage. Feed self using spoon without spillage. 49 to 60 months. Feed self using fingers without spillage or prepare their own food. The role of caregivers in the growth and development of the preschoolers. Parents and caregivers make sure children are healthy and safe. Equip them with the skills and resources to succeed as adults and that transit basic culture values to them. Parents and caregivers offer their children love, acceptance, appreciation, encouragement, and guidance. For all preschoolers, letter A, engage preschoolers with simple games that involve running and walking. Letter B, provide them catching and throwing toys like balls. Letter C, use low balancing activities for preschoolers. Letter D, allow opportunities for rough and tumble play. Letter E, ensure to get enough sleep and rest. Letter F, be a good model of eating habits for preschoolers, like encouraging them to eat fruits and veggies and enough water rather than to eat processed food. For 3 years old, encourage development of hand-eye coordination, play ball, show children how to throw and catch and kick, show how to hop like rabbit, tiptoe like bird, waddle like duck. Encourage free expression in art projects. Create collages from magazines, pictures, provide a variety art experience. For 3 years olds, encourage physical development, pretend to walk like various animals, set up an obstacle course for indoors challenge, encourage walking with a beanbag on the head. For 5 years old, encourage body coordination and sense of balance by playing follow the leader. Teach sack walking and twist him or the statue of freeze game. Play games that can teach the right direction like hockey pokey. P.ed1 Week 15 Cognitive Development of the Preschoolers. Brain connection in the preschool years. The brain is the command writer of human body. A newborn baby has all the brain cells or the neurons they'll have for the rest of their life. But it's the connection between these cells that really makes the brain work. The early childhood years are crucial for making this connection. At least 1 million new neural connection or the synapses are made every second more than at any other time in life. Different areas of the brain are responsible for different abilities like movement, language, and emotion and develop at different rates. Brain development builds on itself as connections eventually link with each other in more complex ways. Starting from birth, children develop brain connection through their everyday experience they build through positive interaction with their parents and caregivers, and by using senses to interact with the world. A child's relationship with the adults are the most important influence on their brain development. Children who experience more positive interaction in their early years go on healthier and successful. Unfortunately, the opposite is true as well. Exposure to family violence, like of success to quality experience negatively in child's early brain development. Language development. Language development in human is a process starting early in life. Infants starts without knowing language, yet by 10 months babies can distinguish speech, sounds, and engage in babbling. Some research shown that the earliest learning begins in utero. From fetus starts to recognizing the sounds and the pattern of its mother's voice. Children develop receptive language abilities before their verbal or expressive language develops. Receptive language is the internal process of understanding of language. As receptive language continues to increase, expressive language begins to slowly develop. Productive, expressive language is productive or expressive language is considered begin with the stage of pre-verbal communication in which infants use gesture. Information processing theory, or the attention and memory. Information processing theory is a cognitive theory that proves on how information is encoded into our memory. The theory describes how our brains filter information from what we're paying attention to the present moment to what gets stored in our short term or working ultimately into long term memory. Sensory memory is the first stage of information processing theory. It refers to the what we are experiencing through our sense or any given moment. This includes what we can see, touch, taste, and smell. In the hearing environment, you can engage people to train in the variety of style that appeal to different senses. When you present information is in a variety of different ways, you ensure that you're appealing to the strength of everyone in your training session and increasing the likelihood that they will retain it. The young children's theory of mind. Theory of mind refers to the capacity of understand other people by ascribing mental states to them. By the age of 2 or 3, children become aware that the mind exists. They refer to the need, emotion, and mental states. During infancy and early childhood, children learn the early skills that they'll need to develop their theory of mind later on. Children's theory of mind continues to develop after age of 5. For the next several years, they learn to predict what one person thinks or feels about what another person is thinking or feeling. They also begin to understand complex language that relies on theory of mind such as lies, sarcasm, and figurative language. Receptive language from 3 to 4 years old can speak in simple sentence, talks about an event and understood. 37 months to 48 months uses some preposition, uses several, uses plurals, uses past tense. 49 to 60 months draws and tells a story about his drawing. Pre-reading and pre-match. Number 1, the child is able to match identical object, colors, shapes, symbols. From 2 years old to 3 years old, matches and the identical objects with colors and shape. They can matches identical upper and lower cases letters. From 3 years to 4 years old, can copy a simple pattern, recognize familiar logos, recognizes signs like stop and go, female and male comfort room or the restroom, pre-reading pre-match or the copying letters and numbers. The child is able to recite the alphabet and numbers in sequence. From 3 years old to 4 years old, print uppercase letter with a model with some. 4 to 5 years old can write name without pattern or a model, can print number 1 to 5. The cognitive development, number 1, the child is able to sustain attention and modulate his activity at age expected levels. 2 to 3 years old can complete tasks. 4 to 5 years old may be distracted but can refocus. 4 years old sustain attention and concentration, can do homeworks. 5 to 6 years can do homework at his or her own. The mental abilities, the child develop basic concepts pertaining to object constancy, space, time, quantity, duration, etc., and uses this as the basis for understanding how materials are categorized. From 2 to 3 years old, counts with 1 to 1 correspondence. 3 to 4 years old can tell which is prettier or nicer from two items based on the criteria. 4 to 5 years old can tell which is the left and right of people facing her or him. Mental abilities, cause and effect relationship. The child is able to understand the cause and effect relationship. From 2 to 3 years old, understands reason behind rules in practice and school. Episodic memory. The child is able to recall people has met, event and places that has been seen to. 2 to 3 years old, talk about things happened during particular event. Memory for concept-based knowledge, the semantic memory. The child is able to store verbal information in short and long-term memory. 3 to 4 years old, repeats 5 to 7 word sentences correctly. 4 to 5 years old, can recite the days of the week with some errors. 5 to 6 years old, can recite the months of the years with some errors. Logical reasoning. The child is able to follow the logic of events and draw accurate conclusion by evaluating the facts presented to him. 2 to 3 years old, can feel what is silly or wrong with absurd picture sense. 4 to 5 years old, knows that certain elements remain the same even if their possession change. The role of caregivers or the parents and teachers in the cognitive development of preschoolers. Positive parenting also affects their responses and help them grow up to the better humans. Interaction and stimulations are very important in the early years. For 3 years old, can speak with children as often as possible. For 3 years old, you can speak with children as often as possible. Use short sentence, ask question, and listen. For 4 years old, read read um read aloud each day, and encourage children to look at books on their own. Provide alternative reading materials with a collection of outdated coupon, junk mail, newspaper ads, um, old cereal bags. For 5 years old, A drama reading session each day by using different voices for different characters. While reading familiar stories, stop before end and ask the children to add their own end the story.